sunny days, no more sunny days. I got a heart that won't behave. I got a mind gonna make me insane. No more sunny days, no more sunny days. You got a black cloud over your head. You're looking spent, gotta get you to bed. Age into the apartment gone. I moved out, but I can't move on.
Hey guys, Blake Calhoun. I think shooting time-lapse with your smartphone is not something that's done nearly enough. It's such an easy way to go and you can get really great results. Of course, there are dedicated time-lapse apps, but one of my favorite ways to do it is with Filmic Pro. All right, so I'm in Filmic Pro and you treat it just like you do when you shoot video. And I actually have a preset set up for time-lapse. It's a 2-second interval. But all you do is you go into the frame rate section, and then instead of being in your standard frame rates, you go into the time-lapse area, and then here you pick your interval. And so my default interval is 1 shot every 2 seconds. So it's a 2-second interval. And at the bottom here, you want to do your frames per second, your playback rate. And for me, I like to do everything at 24p. And then of course you choose your resolution and your bit rate. Just again, like shooting video, I shoot 4K and I shoot Filmic Extreme. You also want to be sure to set your white balance, again, just like you would shooting video. And the nice thing is with Filmic Pro, you can choose to shoot in different gamma profiles if you have the cinematographer kit. I typically shoot in flat or log. Keep in mind, when you're shooting time-lapse with Filmic Pro, it records it as a video file. It does not record it as individual photos. The other thing, of course, again, just like shooting video, you want to be sure to set your shutter. And when you're shooting 24p, you want to have it on 148 shutter. Now, this ISO is way too high. Being outside, it would never be that high. I'm inside right now. And of course, the way you control the shutter speed is with an ND filter. Several months ago, I reviewed the Light Chaser Pro. It's from Polar Pro, and it is a case with a filter mount, and it's a proprietary mount, and they have a CPL filter, which is what I reviewed the first time around. It's this one. And then recently they sent me their variable ND filter. And that's what this is. And so this is a complete kit. And the nice thing about this ND filter is it has hard stops. And it's a 2 to 5 stop ND. And so all the time lapse I've shot in this video, I've shot with Filmic Pro and this Polar Pro variable ND. So again, with an ND, you can set your exposure, you can have it manually set, and then you twist the ND filter, the variable ND, to then adjust the exposure. Typically I will set the shutter at 148 and then make my adjustments here. Now I mentioned the 2-second interval is my default, and it is the one I go to the most, but I also like using a 10-second interval. It really just depends on what you're shooting. Sometimes clouds can look really nice at a 10-second interval. The negative to shooting with a 10-second interval is to shoot a 10-second time lapse, it takes a lot longer. Typically shooting a 2-second interval, I want to shoot about 240 frames. 240 frames will give you a 10-second time lapse. I did a previous video on shooting time-lapse with the native iPhone camera app, and that is a great way to go, but you just don't have as much control, and you can't shoot in 4K. But using an app like Filmic Pro, or maybe a dedicated time-lapse app like Skyflow, you can get some really amazing results. To learn more about Filmic Pro, you might consider enrolling in my complete guide to Filmic Pro. This is an in-depth course covering how to use the app and shoot professional quality video with your smartphone. It's also about using different accessories along with showing best practices for before, during, and after you shoot. Link is in the description. For some quick bonus content in this video, I wanted to show this variable ND. It is a good ND. It's not a high-end ND though. It's nothing like their Peter McKinnon variable ND, that's for sure. It does suffer from cross-polarization, so you just can't stop it all the way down, and in particular on a wide lens. However, even on the telephoto lens, I did see some of the dreaded X pattern. But again, this is a pretty decent kit. It's a case, the filter, and a hand grip. And it really does make shooting video and time-lapse much easier because you don't have to have any kind of third-party mount. And so I do think it's a pretty solid system and I do recommend it. The only real negative is it is proprietary, but it does work well and it's pretty affordable.
No more sunny days, no more sunny days. I got a heart that won't behave.
Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.